What is up, Tiger fans? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I am going to be talking about all of the Clemson draft prospects in the upcoming 2021 NFL draft. So the draft begins in just a couple of days, and Clemson really doesn't have that many prospects this year, but they are all on the offensive side of the ball, so we are losing a lot on offense. So the 5 prospects that we have in the draft are Trevor Lawrence, of course, quarterback, expected number 1 overall pick. Travis Etienne, who was Clemson's starting running back for about 3.5 seasons. Jackson Carman, who was Clemson's left tackle for 2 years. And Amari Rodgers and Cornelius Powell, who are 2 receivers who really broke out in 2020 and became Trevor Lawrence's top 2 targets during the COVID-shortened season. So in this video, I'm just going to be talking about these 5 guys, and where I think they will land in the NFL draft, and just sort of what I think about their careers. So the first guy, of course, we're going to look at is Trevor Lawrence. So Trevor Lawrence, he is expected to be picked number 1 overall. I have him going first overall in my most recent mock draft to, of course, the Jacksonville Jaguars. But he's going to be our number 1 pick, or he's going to be our first number 1 overall pick ever in school history. Clemson has never had a guy go number 1 overall, but Trevor will be going number 1 overall. It's not even set in stone at this point. He's basically already signed a contract with Jacksonville. It's that kind of locked. So Trevor is going to be going to the Jacksonville Jaguars at number 1 overall. I did a big breakdown on Trevor's game on my main channel earlier this week, so I will link that in the description. So I'm not going to go super deep into Trevor's game because of that video, but I did a video that I went super deep in on Trevor's game, so I will link that in the description. But we are now going to move on to Travis Etienne. So Travis Etienne, 2-time ACC Player of the Year, star running back for the Clemson Tigers for pretty much 4 seasons. And he is the all-time FBS leader in rushing yards with 4,952 rushing yards. So an amazing career for Travis Etienne. He was an amazing player at Clemson, and I think he is deserving of a first-round pick. I have him ranked as my number 26 overall player, and my number 1 running back in the class. He's a very complete game. I actually talked about him in a video today. So that video, as well as on my main channel, I'll link that in the description as well. So I talked about Etienne's game sung, but he's a very complete running back. He can pass block. He can, of course, run the ball at a very high level, and he's amazing out of the backfield. Really improved on that this year. So I think Travis Etienne is worth a first-round pick, but I do not know if he will go in the first round. I think it just sort of depends on what team is willing to make a move for a running back, but I do think that he could go in the first, could go in the second. And in my recent 7-round mock draft from about 2 weeks ago, I had Etienne going 34th overall to the New York Jets. So now we are going to move on to Jackson Carman, offensive tackle. Started 2 seasons at left tackle, but he projects best to the NFL as a guard. And that might be a little bit of a surprise considering his offensive tackle experience at Clemson. Backed up Mitch Hyatt as a freshman, and then came in as a 2-year starter left tackle, and he was a very good left tackle. I selected this photo from the Ohio State game in 2020 against Chase Young, and the reason I did so, he had an amazing game against Chase Young. Jackson Carman was very, very impressive in that game, and I just wanted to highlight that performance. Of course, that's only 1 game, but that was a really impressive performance that he had against Chase Young, who went on to be the number 2 overall pick in the NFL draft. But Carman, he just doesn't have the flexibility, and he just doesn't have the ability to keep up with bendy edges in the NFL. So I think guard, with his bigger size, I think guard is going to fit him best at the NFL level. But started 2 years at left tackle, so he certainly can play at tackle in the NFL, but I do think guard would fit him best. So I have him in my latest mock draft going to the Chicago Bears at number 83 overall, and I have him ranked as my number 60 overall player and my number 10 offensive tackle, but I think he could play guard as well for sure in the NFL. And the fourth Clemson Tiger is wide receiver Amari Rodgers. Amari Rodgers was a first-team All-ACC receiver in 2020. He was amazing. Probably the best receiver in the ACC. He was Trevor Lawrence's favorite target to throw to. Amari Rodgers, you hear this a lot. He's built like a running back. He has an amazing body type for a slot receiver. He's strong, and of course, he's very quick, very fast. Amari has a good game, but I don't think it translates insanely well to the NFL. But he's got a pretty solid route tree. He has good hands. I really like Amari's game, but I have him ranked as my number 101 overall prospect. He probably should be top 100 in retrospect, but this ranking is from about a month ago, and I definitely had some things that I would have changed. And Amari, I think, did deserve to be higher. I think Amari definitely deserved to be higher, so that's one thing that I would have changed. But in my rankings, he was ranked as the number 101 overall player and number 16 wide receiver. And I have him in my most recent 7-round mock draft. I had him going to the Detroit Lions at number 102 overall. His dad is actually the wide receivers coach for the Baltimore Ravens, T. Martin. So if the Ravens, they get a chance, they have, I believe it is the 94th pick that they have. So I could definitely see them taking Amari there. Of course, he would want to go play for his dad. So if he's on the board at 94, thinking about it, of course, I obviously just did not click with that because it just makes so much sense. So if Amari's on the board at number 94, I think that's a lock, especially if they don't take a receiver earlier in the draft. But there's also a good chance that Amari is not on the board at 94. This is a stacked receivers class, but the receivers are really going to fly off the board. So I would not be shocked if Amari is not on the board there. He could go anywhere in the third round, I think. He could go early third round. I've seen some people have him go as high as the second round, but I really don't think that he's going to be able to sneak into that second round. So I do have Amari Rodgers as a high level, probably mid-third round to late third round pick. At the last Clemson Tiger, at number 5 on the list, Clemson Tiger wide receiver Cornelius Powell. So Cornelius Powell, he was never a big part of the Clemson offense, as he had a red shirt in the middle of his career, but he was never really involved. But in 2020, with the injuries to Joey Goddard, the injury to Justin Ross, the injuries to Frank Ladson, we were kind of lacking receivers outside of Amari Rodgers. But Cornelius Powell, he was a beast on the outside. He plays much bigger than his size. He's an insanely strong receiver. Not very fast, not insanely quick, but he's strong. He's a good downfield target. We saw him on some go routes make amazing plays and helped out Trevor Lawrence a lot this past season. Cornelius Powell, third-team All-ACC in 2020, and I think he was probably the most improved player on our team. So I have him ranked as my number 195 overall prospect and my number 31 overall wide receiver, so 15 wide receivers behind Amari. And I think Cornell could be a 5th or 6th round pick. That's where most mock drafts have him. I had him in the 6th round, but I do think that he could find his way into the 5th round. It kind of depends, sort of with Amari as well. It kind of depends on what happens with the receivers ahead of him. But in my recent 7-round mock draft, I have Cornelius Powell going number 221st overall, so that is late 6th round to the Chicago Bears. So Cornell, super talented player, but the lack of big time statistics and big time plays in college certainly concerning. Just the fact that he didn't make an impact until his senior season, but he has a very good skill set. I think he can be a solid bottom of the roster NFL receiver. But that is pretty much all I have for this video. So be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, and let me know in the comments what you thought about this video and what do you think about Clemson's 5 prospects in the 2021 NFL draft. So leave a like, let me know in the comments what you think about Clemson's draft prospects. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Go subscribe to my live streaming channel and my main channel. If you're not already subscribed to either of those, they will each be linked in the description, as they always are. And I will also link that Trevor Lawrence video and that Travis Etienne video in the description as well. But that's all I got, so I will see you guys next time. Go Tigers.